Frank Stella is an American painter and printmaker, noted for his work in the areas of minimalism and post-painterly abstraction. Stella continues to live and work in New York. Biography: Stella was born in Malden, Massachusetts, to parents of Italian descent. His father was a gynecologist, and his mother was an artistically inclined housewife who attended fashion school and later took up landscape painting. After attending high school at Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, he attended Princeton University, where he majored in history and met Darby Barnard and Michael Fried. Early visits to New York art galleries influenced his artist development, and his work was influenced by the abstract expressionism of Jackson Pollock and Franz Kline. Stella moved to New York in 1958, after his graduation. He is one of the most well-regarded post-war American painters still working today. He is heralded for creating abstract paintings that bear no pictorial allusions or psychological or metaphysical references in 20th-century painting. Today, Stella lives in Greenwich Village and keeps an office there but commutes on weekdays to his studio in Rock Tavern, New York. Work Late 1950s and early 1960s. Upon moving to New York City, he reacted against the expressive use of paint by most painters of the abstract expressionist movement, instead finding himself drawn towards the flatter surfaces of Barnett Newman's work and the target paintings of Jasper Johns. He began to produce works which emphasized the picture as object, rather than the picture as a representation of something, be it something in the physical world, or something in the artist's emotional world. Stella married Barbara Rose, later a well-known art critic, in 1961. Around this time he said that a picture was a flat surface with paint on it, nothing more. This was a departure from the technique of creating a painting by first making a sketch. Many of the works are created by simply using the path of the brush stroke, very often using common house paint. This new aesthetic found expression in a series of new paintings, the black paintings, in which regular bands of black paint were separated by very thin pinstripes of unpainted canvas. Die Fahne Hoch is one such painting. It takes its name from the first line of the Horst Wessel Lied, the anthem of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, and Stella pointed out that it is in the same proportions as banners used by that organization. It has been suggested that the title has a double meaning, referring also to Jasper Johns' paintings of flags. In any case, its emotional coolness belies the contentiousness its title might suggest, reflecting this new direction in Stella's work. Stella unregistered trademark S art was recognized for its innovations before he was 25. In 1959, several of his paintings were included in 3 Young Americans at the Allen Memorial Art Museum at Oberlin College, as well as in 16 Americans at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. From 1960 Stella began to produce paintings in aluminium and copper paint which, in their presentation of regular lines of color separated by pinstripes, are similar to his black paintings. However, they use a wider range of colors, and are his first works using shaped canvases, often being in L, N, U or T shapes. These later developed into more elaborate designs, in the irregular polygon series, for example. Also in the 1960s, Stella began to use a wider range of colors, typically arranged in straight or curved lines. Later he began his protractor series of paintings, in which arcs, sometimes overlapping, within square borders are arranged side by side to produce full and half circles painted in rings of concentric color. These paintings are named after circular cities he had visited while in the Middle East earlier in the 1960s. The irregular polygon canvases and protractor series further extended the concept of the shaped canvas. Late 1960s and early 1970s. Stella began his extended engagement with printmaking in the mid-1960s. Working first with master printer Kenneth Tyler at Gemini GEL, Stella produced a series of prints during the late 1960s, starting with a print called Quithlamba in 1968. Stella's abstract prints in lithography, screen printing, etching and offset lithography had a strong impact upon printmaking as an art. In 1967, he designed the set and costumes for Scramble, a dance piece by Merce Cunningham. the Museum of Modern Art in New York presented a retrospective of Stella unregistered trademark S work in 1970, making him the youngest artist to receive one. During the following decade, Stella introduced relief into his art, which he came to call a maximalist Euro painting for its sculptural qualities. Ironically, the paintings that had brought him fame before 1960 had eliminated all such depth. The shaped canvases took on even less regular forms in the eccentric polygon series, and elements of collage were introduced, pieces of canvas being pasted onto plywood, for example. His work also became more three-dimensional to the point where he started producing large, freestanding metal pieces, which, although they are painted upon, might well be considered sculpture. After introducing wood and other materials in the Polish Village series, created in high relief, he began to use aluminum as the primary support for his paintings. As the 1970s and 1980s progressed, these became more elaborate and exuberant. Indeed, his earlier minimalism, more became Baroque, marked by curving forms, day-glow colors, and scrawled brush strokes. Similarly, his prints of these decades combined various printmaking and drawing techniques. In 1973, he had a print studio installed in his New York house. In 1976, Stella was commissioned by BMW to paint a BMW 3.0 CSL for the second installment in the BMW art car project. He has said of this project, "The starting point for the art cars was racing livery. In the old days there used to be a tradition of identifying a car with its country by color. Now they get a number and they get advertising. Unregistered trademark SA paint job, one way or another." The idea for mine was that unregistered trademark S from a drawing on graph paper. The graph paper is what it is, a graph, but when unregistered trademark S morphed over the car unregistered trademark S forms it becomes interesting, and adapting the drawing to the racing car unregistered trademark S forms is interesting. Theoretically unregistered trademark S like painting on a shaped canvas. In 1969, Stella was commissioned to create a logo for the Metropolitan Museum of Art Centennial. Medals incorporating the design were struck to mark the occasion. 1980s and afterward . From the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s, Stella created a large body of work that responded in a general way to Herman Melville unregistered trademark S Moby Dick. During this time, the increasingly deep relief of Stella unregistered trademark S paintings gave way to full three-dimensionality, with sculptural forms derived from cones, pillars, French curves, waves, and decorative architectural elements. To create these works, the artist used collages or maquettes that were then enlarged and recreated with the aids of assistants, industrial metal cutters, and digital technologies. In the 1990s, Stella began making freestanding sculpture for public spaces and developing architectural projects. In 1993, for example, he created the entire decorative scheme for Toronto unregistered trademark S Princess of Wales Theatre, which includes a 10,000-square-foot mural. His 1993 proposal for a Kunsthalle garden in Dresden did not come to fruition. In 1997, he painted and oversaw the installation of the 5,000-square-foot Stella project, which serves as the centerpiece of the theater and lobby of the Moores Opera House located at the Rebecca and John J. Moores School of Music on the campus of the University of Houston, in Houston, TX. His aluminum bandshell, inspired by a folding hat from Brazil, was built in downtown Miami in 2001. A monumental Stella sculpture was installed outside the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Stella's wall-hung Scarlatti K-series was triggered by the harpsichord sonatas of Domenico Scarlatti and the writings of the U.S. 20th-century harpsichord virtuoso and musicologist Ralph Kirkpatrick, who made the sonatas widely known. Scarlatti wrote more than 500 keyboard sonatas. Stella's series today includes about 150 works. From 1978 to 2005, Stella owned the Van Tassel and Kearney Horse Auction Mart building in Manhattan's East Village and used it as his studio. His nearly 30-year stewardship of the building resulted in the facade being cleaned and restored. After a 6-year campaign by the Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation, in 2012 the historic building was designated a New York City landmark. After 2005, Stella split his time between his West Village apartment and his Newburgh, New York studio. Artists' rights. Stella remains active in protecting the rights for his fellow artists. On June 6, 2008, Stella published an op-ed for the art newspaper decrying a proposed U.S. orphan works law which removes the penalty for copyright infringement if the creator of a work, after a diligent search, cannot be located. In the op-ed, Stella wrote, Exhibitions. Stella unregistered trademark S work was included in several important exhibitions that defined 1960s art, among them the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum unregistered trademark S the shaped canvas and systemic painting. The Museum of Modern Art in New York presented a retrospective of Stella unregistered trademark S work in 1970. His art has since been the subject of several retrospectives in the United States, Europe, and Japan. In 2012, a retrospective of Stella's career was shown at the Kunstmuseum Wolfsburg. In 2015, the Whitney Museum of American Art is presenting a retrospective of Stella unregistered trademark S career to date. The show will feature approximately 120 works, including paintings, reliefs, maquettes, sculptures, and drawings. Collections. Stella's work is included in major international collections, including the Menil Collection, Houston. The Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden, Washington, D.C. San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. National Gallery of Art. The Toledo Museum of Art and the Whitney Museum of American Art, New York. In 2014, Stella gave his sculpture a Joman as a long-term loan to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Recognition. Among the many honors he has received was an invitation from Harvard University to give the Charles Eliot Norton Lectures in 1984. Calling for a rejuvenation of abstraction by achieving the depth of Baroque painting, these 6 talks were published by Harvard University Press in 1986 under the title Working Space. In 2009, Frank Stella was awarded the National Medal of Arts by President Barack Obama. In 2011, he received the Lifetime Achievement Award in Contemporary Sculpture by the International Sculpture Center. Art Market. Stella joined dealer Leo Castello unregistered trademark S stable of artists in 1959. Since 2014, he has been represented worldwide in an exclusive arrangement shared by Dominique La Copyright V Gallery and Marianne Boeski. Gallery. Interviews. Hiti, Sheila. I'm all in favor of the shifty artist. The Believer 6, 40 46. D'Antonio, Emile, Painters Painting, The New York Art Scene, 1940 to 1970, 1973. Arthouse Films. References. More references. Bush, Julia M. A Decade of Sculpture, The 1960s, Associated University Presses, 1974. ISBN 0-87982-007-1, Frank Stella and Franz Joachim Vespohel, The Writings of Frank Stella. Die Schriften Frank Stellas, Verlag der Buchhandlung K. Paragraph Nig, 2001. ISBN 3-88375-487-0. ISBN 978-3-88375-487-1, Frank Stella and Franz Joachim Vespohel, Heinrich von Kleist by Frank Stella, Verlag der Buchhandlung K. Paragraph Nig, 2001. ISBN 3-88375-488-9, ISBN 978-3-88375-488-8, 2, Frank Stella and Siri Enberg, Frank Stella at Tyler Graphics, Walker Art Center, 1997. ISBN 9780735640588. External links. Frank Stella in the National Gallery of Australia's Kenneth Tyler Collection, Word Symbol Space, an exhibition featuring work by Frank Stella at the Jewish Museum, NY. Frank Stella interviewed by Robert Ayres, March 2009, Works of Art, Auction and Sale Results, Exhibitions, and Artist Information for Frank Stella on ArtNet, Guggenheim Museum Online Biography of Frank Stella, Stella's work in the Guggenheim Collection, Stella Mural Installation, Princess of Wales Theatre, Toronto, Frank Stella, an illustrated biography by Sidney Guberman, Frank Stella Papers at the Smithsonian's Archives of American Art, Frank Stella, Scarlatti and Bali Sculpture Series / Paracelsus Building, St. Moritz. Video at Venice Agate. Frank Stella 1958. Poet William Corbett writes about the exhibition titled Frank Stella 1958 at the Arthur M. Sackler Museum, Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, February 4 – May 7, 2006, laying the tracks. Others followed. Early work at L&M Arts. New York Times. Roberta Smith. April 26, 2012.